Welcome everybody to our story for today. Last week here in KZN and in Gauteng, there were many areas that did not have peace. Today's story is about St. Elizabeth of Portugal, who was peaceful and made peace for God. Here in our children's church, we remember her during July, during the green and growing Sundays after Pentecost. But I wonder why we remember her. Let us see. St. Elizabeth of Portugal was born on the 4th of January, 1271, in what is now called Spain. She was named after her great-aunt, St. Elizabeth of Hungary. Elizabeth's family were always fighting with each other, but not Elizabeth. Soon after her birth, she went to live with her grandfather, who loved her very much. Her grandfather thought that she would become one of the great and most important ladies that would come from his family. And he was right. When Elizabeth was 6 years old, she went back to live with her father, who ruled a part of Spain. When she was 12 years old, it was time for her to get married, like they did in those days. Different kings wanted her for their sons, but her father gave her in marriage to Denis of Portugal. Elizabeth wanted to give herself to serve God alone, but she went to Portugal anyway to be the wife of Denis, who became King Denis. When Elizabeth got to Portugal, there were many parties and lots of gifts were given, but she gave all her gifts to the poor. When Elizabeth was 20 years old, she gave birth to her first child and called her Constance. At 21 years old, her son Alfonso was born. Elizabeth built a hospital for children who had been abandoned, shelters for poor travelers, hospitals for the sick, and a place for women to go to. She even planted trees along the long beaches of her country to keep the sand from blowing and washing away. One time her husband, King Denis, was very angry because she was giving so much money away to the poor. He stopped her and said, "Let me see the money." When she showed him what was in her apron, it was nothing but roses. But later, the roses became gold. When Elizabeth's son grew up, he went to war against his father, King Denis. They faced each other across the battlefields, with arrows and rocks flying. The armies ran towards each other with shouts and suddenly stopped. Everything grew quiet. There was Queen Elizabeth riding on a mule in between the two armies. She was so peaceful that the armies made peace. King Denis died a year later in Queen Elizabeth's arms. Now she could do what she always wanted to do. She went to live in a convent as a nun. When she was old and dying, Elizabeth called her daughter-in-law and began to pray. Then she peacefully died. St. Elizabeth was known for her caring service to the poor and her many good works. We remember St. Elizabeth of Portugal because she was peaceful and she made peace for God. Our verse for today comes from Matthew 5, verse 9. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Now I wonder what you are going to do as you think about this story.